I won't ask you to fight my war. You already have.
Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. High fantasy war, also known as epic fantasy, is the subgenre defined by the nature of the setting and the stature of the characters, theme, and/or plot. All of these must live in a world alternative to our own and are usually seen through the viewpoint of one hero, an underdog. Today, we will rank top 10 war movies of all time. I will share the best top 10 epic fantasy war movies with you. Okay, let's start with the video part 1. Number 10. The Great War. Matt Damon, given his predicament and the backlash of being a white person cast in a movie that was based in China, still gave a great performance. The plot was nothing special, but I truly enjoyed the concept. The cinematography was beautifully shot, and the colors throughout the movie make it very pleasing to the eyes. Without the camera work, this would not be a good movie. I think this movie is still worth a watch. Number 9. Battleship. It's a lot better than I expected. I won't go into detail about the plot, etc., as it's in the summary. The only actors I knew were Liam Neeson and Rihanna. Rihanna was better than most other singers that attempt acting. I think to put this in perspective, I will tell you some of my favorite films, as I feel if you also like these you will like Battleship, Transformers, Skyline, Matrix, Avatar, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Van Damme films, Terminator 2. I couldn't list them all. Ignore the fact the enemy looked like Transformer. I think the makers have done well turning a very old guesswork board game into a pretty decent movie. Number 8. Troy. I love this movie. By far my favorite R-rated movie, and in the running for one of the greatest and most epic in my opinion. The acting, the world building, the character depth, and the thrill of such an incredible depiction of the time period. I didn't think it was possible to make an accounting of the Trojan War void of the supernatural presence of the Greek gods that rivals the old story in excellence, but this movie does. Number 7. Gladiator. There are so many iconic lines and quips in this film. Too many to count. It was easily the best film of the start of the millennium. On my mark, unleash hell. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions and loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. How good is Russell Crowe though? Easily one of my favorite actors. Joaquin Phoenix played the role of a little weasel very well. Absolute classic of a film. Number 6. The Hobbit. The Battle of the Five Armies. Good, but it was dragged on a lot. A lot of people didn't like this movie, but nothing can ever come close to Lotta, and it will always be in its shadow. If Lotta hadn't been made yet, this would have been a great movie, but unfortunately, it wasn't up to the same standard, and should have been. But you have to remember Peter Jackson will always be one of the best directors ever. Overall, I think that this was a good movie, but wasn't up to the standard that it should have been. Number 5. Mulan. This is such a good movie. Why can't people enjoy a good movie without being so highly critical or comparing it to the original? There is so much new content and the camera work is spectacular. Yes, there are some problems and it was rushed at first, but it ended out to be a thrill ride nonetheless. Number 4. Pan's Labyrinth. An incredibly creative piece of cinema. It incorporates an amazing fantasy world with the realities of war. It gives its protagonist a way of surviving and continuing on with a life after she could have lost everything. The visuality is striking, creating a world like we've never seen. There is an amazing use of computer-generated images. Everything in this film is in balance as it shifts between fantasy and the horrors of the Civil War under Franco. Del Toro is a director of the First Order. If you don't like him, try to realize that he takes chances, and there are always naysayers out there who want to tear down that creativity. Imagine Stravinsky stopping after The Rite of Spring because the Philistines who are stuck in the past couldn't give it its due, or at least have some optimism. Number 3. The Lord of the Rings. The Return of the King. The Return of the King is an impressive film because it wraps up the Lord of the Rings trilogy in a way that is satisfying for both fans of the books and those who have only seen the movies. This finale is a rollercoaster of emotions, with impressive sets, elaborate costumes, and eye-popping visual effects. The Lord of the Rings was already a great novel, but it has now become one of the greatest film trilogies ever made. Number 2. Dunkirk. The movie, directed by Christopher Nolan and produced by his wife Emma Thomas, is extremely well directed. Dunkirk is all about WW2 between May and June 1940. Excellent cinematography. Thousands and thousands of soldiers on land, boat at sea and airplanes in air are fascinating to watch. It is amazing how camera work was perfect. All actors did their part well. All the land events details took place in a week, the ones at sea in a day, and all aircraft details in an hour. The scene where aircraft lands on water and is on fire is exquisite. Definite Oscar worthy for cinematography. Very appropriate dialogue and script is fit for soldiers, Navy, Air Force. Superb. Great direction. Good editing. Excellent music. 1 hour 46 minutes on big screen. Perfect. Number 1. 300. It has been 15 years since this was first shown, and the more I watch it, the more I appreciate this unique cinematic masterpiece. The story is not perfect, but very few are. What I do highly appreciate is its style. It catches the thematic substance of the graphic novel and then improves on it. And what you get is almost every scene as beautiful as a painting. The colors or lack thereof are amazing, and the use of slow motion, although it had much, was still effective. It was a different movie in its time with its visuals, and this movie was famous all over the world. It was a complete lie in terms of history, but it was beautiful as a movie.
I should fuck her in a Benz.